The year was 2478. Humanity had reached for the stars and found itself sharing space with alien civilizations. Trade agreements, scientific exchanges, and careful treaties had created a fragile peace across many systems. Humans had always been considered clever, adaptable, and resourceful, but also cautious. Earth had agreed to a new standard of warfare in space. No mass destruction, only controlled conflicts, civilized battles that solved disputes without harming civilians. Captain Alina Reyes, a tall woman with dark hair tied in a strict braid, stood on the observation deck of the Mars Orbital Forum. The Forum was a massive station hovering above the Red Planet, where humans and alien delegates met. Today, the room was bright with sunlight streaming through the observation windows, and voices buzzed with anticipation. Alina had seen many negotiations before, but this one was important. Trade routes in the outer colonies were at stake, and tensions had been rising for months. "Remember," she said to her team, "we are observers here. No interference. Keep communications clear, just in case." Her voice was calm, but her brown eyes were sharp. She had been trained for combat, for emergencies, and for situations far worse than diplomacy, but today, she hoped those skills would remain unused. Across the forum, alien delegates adjusted their robes, their tentacles moving in elegant, deliberate patterns. Humans had learned to read alien body language, subtle as it was, and it fascinated Alina. She thought about how fragile peace could be. One mistake, one misstep, and it could all end in disaster. Then, without warning, a violent tremor shook the station. Alarms blared. Alina grabbed her comm device. "All units, report!" she shouted. The holographic display in front of her flickered and showed chaos. A fleet of unknown ships had entered Mars orbit at impossible speeds. Their design was unfamiliar. Jagged edges, dark metallic surfaces, glowing red engines. These were not diplomats. These were attackers. "Sirens are active," one of her engineers said, his hands flying over the controls. "They're targeting the central chamber." Alina's heart raced. She had trained for emergencies, but nothing could prepare her for this. The attackers struck with precision, cutting through defense grids faster than anyone could respond. Explosions shook the forum, sending humans and aliens scrambling. From the observation deck, Alina watched in horror as sections of the station were vaporized. Delegates, both human and alien, were caught in the blast. Communications were jammed, and for a moment it seemed the entire station might collapse. "This isn't a battle," Alina muttered, her voice barely audible. "This is a massacre." Her team moved quickly, guiding survivors to emergency pods. Alina herself stayed behind, scanning for threats and sending encrypted distress signals to Earth. The attackers didn't just want a victory. They wanted fear, chaos, and death. Every move was deliberate, and every strike showed no mercy. Minutes felt like hours. Alina's mind raced, thinking of the millions who would see this event unfold through live transmissions. Across Earth, billions were watching, and for the first time in centuries, humanity's innocence in the galaxy was shattered. When the attackers finally left, they left devastation in their wake. The forum was partially destroyed, many lives lost, and the survivors were traumatized. Alina floated among the debris, checking each survivor, stabilizing those she could and marking the fallen. She felt anger, sadness, and a growing determination she had never known before. Later, aboard the evacuation ship back to Earth, Alina addressed the surviving delegates. Her voice was steady, but fierce. "We have witnessed what happens when mercy is taken for weakness. We have learned that civilized battles can no longer protect us. Humanity must change. We must be ready for anything." On Earth, the news broadcast the massacre in real time. Across continents, people stopped in their homes, at work, and on the streets. Mothers held children tightly. Workers stared in shock. Leaders huddled in secure rooms. And everywhere, one thought spread like wildfire. Humanity was no longer safe relying on diplomacy alone. The global response was immediate. Governments convened emergency councils, scientists began analyzing alien technology, and military forces prepared for mobilization. But it wasn't just governments that reacted. Ordinary humans felt a spark of unity and determination. Humans had always been clever, adaptable, and resilient, but now they realized their survival demanded more. In a research facility on the moon, engineers began redesigning defense systems. AI specialists wrote algorithms to predict enemy tactics. Young cadets trained day and night, knowing that the next attack could happen anywhere. Captain Alina became a central figure, coordinating efforts between Earth's fleets, scientists, and civilian volunteers. Even among the chaos, hope began to grow. Humanity had faced extinction threats before, from natural disasters to internal wars, and had always adapted. This time would be no different. The difference was clear. This attack was deliberate, cruel, and without rules. Humanity would need to respond not just with technology, but with intelligence, creativity, and courage. In the streets of New Berlin, a young boy named Thomas watched the broadcasts with wide eyes. His father, a retired soldier, held his shoulder. "You see this, Thomas? This is why we can't rely on others to protect us. We have to be strong, smart, and united. That's what makes us human." Thomas nodded, a quiet determination settling in his chest. Across Earth, millions of children, students, and workers felt the same stirring. Humanity's spirit had been ignited. As night fell on Earth, Captain Alina sat in her quarters, reviewing footage from the forum. She paused on the faces of those who had died, trying to remember them, honor them. She thought about the attackers' tactics, their ruthlessness, and the lesson they had forced upon humanity. Her communicator beeped. It was a secure line from the Earth Defense Council. "Captain Reyes, we need you at headquarters immediately," the voice said. "This changes everything." Alina took a deep breath, standing and straightening her uniform. She looked out the window at the stars, bright and silent. Humanity had reached them once as explorers. Now, they would reach them as defenders. And when the time came, humans would show the galaxy why they were not to be underestimated. The words echoed in her mind as she left her quarters. "No more civilized battles. We will defend ourselves. We will survive. We will rise." The first step had been taken. Humanity's awakening had begun. The days after the Mars Orbital Forum massacre were dark, but Earth refused to falter. Humanity had been shocked, yes, but the shock quickly transformed into determination. Across continents, governments, scientists, engineers, and civilians were united in one goal. Earth would never be a helpless target again. Captain Alina Reyes walked through the halls of the newly established Earth Defense Command, located in a fortified station orbiting the planet. Her boots echoed against the metal floors, a steady rhythm that mirrored her determination. Officers, scientists, and strategists worked tirelessly, discussing new designs, simulations, and strategies. Alina had spent years preparing for emergencies, but this was different. This was war without rules, and Earth had no choice but to respond. "Status report," Alina asked, approaching her tactical officer. "All preliminary scans of the attacker's technology are complete," Lieutenant Malik said. His voice was calm but tense. "We have identified weaknesses in their propulsion and shield systems. They rely heavily on predictable attack patterns. If we exploit that, we can counter them effectively." Alina nodded. "Good. Begin simulations immediately. I want multiple strategies ready. No one expects humans to be unpredictable, but they will be." Across the station, engineers were working around the clock. Massive 3D printers produced components for new starships, while AI analysts monitored alien communication patterns. Scientists experimented with energy weapons, shields, and propulsion systems that could move faster and strike harder than ever before. But the focus was not only on technology, it was also on human skill, creativity, and strategy. In a training bay, Alina observed cadets practicing tactical maneuvers. They moved swiftly, thinking on their feet, responding to unpredictable simulations designed to mimic the rogue attackers. She watched a young soldier, barely 20, adjust a drone in mid-flight to intercept a simulated missile. It was ingenuity and instinct combined, the human advantage that no alien technology could fully predict. This is only the beginning, Alina thought. We can outthink them. We can out-adapt them. That is our strength. Meanwhile, across Earth's cities, the population prepared as well. Civilians volunteered for emergency training, learned basic defense skills, and studied communications and first aid. Factories shifted production toward emergency supplies and defensive systems. Humanity was awakening, not just as soldiers, but as a society united in purpose. In the Lunar Research Station, Dr. Kira Tan, a physicist specializing in alien technologies, analyzed the attackers' ships. Her team worked tirelessly, comparing every curve, every energy signature. "These ships are fast," she said, "but they are designed for predictable strikes. Their AI follows patterns. If we can introduce unpredictability, humans can control the battlefield." Alina leaned over the console. "Exactly. That is what we will do. The galaxy thinks humans follow rules. They don't understand our creativity, our resourcefulness. We can turn their predictability against them." Weeks turned into months. Earth's fleets expanded, retrofitted, and trained harder than ever before. New ships, faster and more versatile, were launched from orbital shipyards. Pilots learned to navigate asteroid fields, slip through gravitational anomalies, and coordinate in ways that relied on teamwork and ingenuity rather than brute force. Alina oversaw every training exercise personally. She drilled her teams not just in combat skills, but in critical thinking, strategy, and leadership. One day, she placed her team in a simulation where their weapons failed, and their communication systems were down. "Adapt," she commanded. "Find a solution. You have 5 minutes." The room buzzed with activity. Teams worked together, improvising tools, signaling with lights, and using the environment to their advantage. Alina watched with pride as her officers solved problems she had not expected. Humanity's intelligence and creativity became the real weapon. Meanwhile, political leaders reached out to other civilizations. Many aliens had condemned the massacre, but fear had kept them passive. Earth's message was clear. Humans would defend themselves, and they would not hesitate to act if attacked again. In secret, Alina coordinated a series of small operations to test Earth's new capabilities. Teams infiltrated abandoned alien outposts, intercepted supply convoys, and disrupted communications. These missions were not meant to destroy. It was about learning, practicing, and demonstrating humanity's ability to strike when necessary. One such mission took place on a remote asteroid base. A team of human engineers and soldiers moved silently through the base, disabling power nodes and leaving data logs about alien troop movements. They worked with precision, using minimal force, but with maximum effect. The mission succeeded without a single human casualty. Alina knew then that Earth had taken its first steps toward becoming a galactic power that could defend itself without losing its humanity. In the evenings, Alina often reflected on what had changed in humanity. Before the massacre, many believed diplomacy, treaties, and rules could protect them. Now, humans understood that survival required strength, intelligence, and unity. Every person on Earth, from engineers to civilians, had a role in this new era. In New Berlin, Tomas, the boy who had watched the massacre unfold months ago, now trained with other youth in emergency response drills. His father stood beside him, proud. "You see, Thomas? Humans are never helpless. We learn, We adapt and we rise. That is what makes us strong. Thomas nodded, tightening his grip on a training weapon. I understand, Father. We are ready. The months of preparation culminated in a massive exercise. Earth's fleets gathered near the outer edge of the solar system, facing simulations of the rogue alien attackers. The drills were intense, testing every skill humanity had developed. Pilots maneuvered through asteroid belts, engineers repaired ships mid-battle, and strategists adapted to unexpected changes in real time. Alina stood on the command bridge, observing. Her heart swelled with pride. Humanity had changed, no longer passive, no longer trusting that civility alone could protect them. They had become clever, resourceful, and fearless. A senior strategist approached Alina. Captain, simulations show a 78% success rate in countering the attackers' tactics. That is unprecedented. Humans are learning faster than expected. Alina nodded. Good. But numbers aren't everything. We must be creative, adaptable, and ready for the unexpected. That is what will set us apart. That is what will make the galaxy respect us. The first real test came sooner than expected. Scouts reported suspicious ships approaching the outer colonies. Fast, aggressive, and potentially hostile. Earth's new fleets were ready. Alina prepared a team for reconnaissance, combining veteran officers with young, inventive pilots. As the ships neared, humanity did not panic. They had learned patience, strategy, and the power of improvisation. Alina coordinated a plan that relied not on overwhelming force, but on human intelligence and creativity. The human fleet moved through asteroid fields, using gravitational anomalies to hide their approach. Scouts infiltrated the enemy formation, gathering critical information. Engineers remotely disabled key systems on the approaching ships, while pilots prepared to strike at vulnerable points. The operation succeeded without a single civilian harmed. The rogue alien ships retreated, surprised and frustrated by humanity's unpredictability. Earth had sent its first clear message to the galaxy. Humans were no longer passive participants. They were defenders, innovators, and strategists. Celebration was quiet but meaningful. Humans had proven to themselves what they already knew. Their greatest strength was their intelligence, courage, and unity. Alina addressed her team over the comm system. Today we showed what humanity is capable of, she said. We did not destroy recklessly. We did not seek revenge. We defended our people. We showed the galaxy that humans are clever, resourceful, and fearless. Remember this feeling. It will guide us in the battles to come. Across Earth, the population rejoiced quietly. News broadcasts detailed the operation's success. Children watched in awe, learning the importance of courage and intelligence. Scientists and engineers celebrated their contributions. And Captain Alina Reyes, standing on the command bridge, looked toward the stars with a steady gaze. The galaxy had witnessed the first signs of humanity's transformation. From survivors to strategists, humans had begun to reshape the rules. They were no longer the species that relied solely on diplomacy and civility. They were adaptable, innovative, and united, ready to face any threat. Alina knew that the challenges ahead would be even greater. Rogue factions, powerful enemies, and unpredictable dangers awaited in the vastness of space. But humanity had proven one critical fact. Their mind, courage, and unity were weapons stronger than any fleet or technology. As night fell on Earth, Alina stood at the observation window of the orbiting command station. Below, the planet glowed with life, civilization, and hope. She whispered to herself, a promise and a warning. No more civilized battles. We will protect our people. We will adapt. We will rise. And we will show the galaxy what it means to face humanity. And in that moment, Earth's response was clear. Humanity was awake, aware, and ready. The era of fragile peace was over. A new era of human ingenuity, courage, and strategy had begun. Humanity had changed. From the ashes of the Mars Orbital Forum massacre, Earth had transformed into a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. Fleets had been rebuilt, technology upgraded, and every person, soldier, engineer, scientist, or civilian, had discovered their value in the defense of their home. Captain Alina Reyes stood once more on the command bridge of the Earth Defense Command Station, her gaze fixed on the dark expanse of space. "Captain," Lieutenant Malik said, breaking the silence, "scouts have located the rogue fleet. They are heading toward the outer colonies again. This time they're larger and more organized." Alina's jaw tightened. She had expected this moment. The rogue aliens had underestimated humans once, but they would not underestimate them again. "Prepare the fleet," she commanded. "We will not wait for them to strike. This ends on our terms." Earth's fleet moved swiftly, cutting through the void with precision. Human ships were nimble, versatile, and equipped with newly developed systems that combined speed, energy shields, and advanced targeting. But more importantly, humans were strategic thinkers, adapting to the unexpected and ready to outsmart any opponent. The rogue fleet approached, massive and menacing. Its ships glinted red under distant starlight, engines burning bright. Yet, despite their power, they were predictable. Humans had studied every pattern, every strategy, every known weakness, and this knowledge would become their greatest weapon. Alina gathered her officers in the tactical room. Holograms of the enemy fleet rotated above the table, highlighting weak points. "We strike in 3 waves," she explained. "First, scouts infiltrate their formation and disable key communications. Second, our main fleet maneuvers through asteroid fields to create surprise attack angles. Third, our elite strike teams target command vessels directly. Timing and coordination are everything." Her team nodded, ready and determined. They had trained for this moment for months. Every maneuver, every tactic, every improvisation had led to this. The first wave moved in silence. Scout ships slipped through the shadows of asteroids. Undetected, tiny but powerful, they deployed hacking devices that infiltrated enemy communications. Suddenly, the rogue fleet's coordination faltered. Ships began firing in confusion, some even colliding. Alina allowed herself a small nod of satisfaction. Humanity had already gained the upper hand, not through brute force, but through intelligence and planning. The second wave followed. Main fleet ships darted through the asteroid belts, using gravitational anomalies to mask their movement. Enemy sensors struggled to keep up. Pilots maneuvered with skill and creativity, launching attacks from unexpected directions. Every strike was calculated, precise, and humane, aiming to disable rather than destroy. Humanity had learned that true power was in control, strategy, and adaptability. Alina turned her attention to the third wave, the elite strike teams. She herself led one team, boarding a rogue command vessel with her crew. Magnetic boots clung to the ship's hull as they infiltrated the corridors. Sensors picked up enemy movement, but humans moved swiftly, silently, and decisively. Inside the command vessel, Alina's team faced the alien leaders. They were formidable, yet unprepared for human ingenuity. Using clever tactics, they incapacitated enemy officers without lethal force, relying on speed, coordination, and surprise. Alina felt a surge of pride. Humans could win battles without losing their humanity. Back in space, the fleet's coordinated attacks caused the rogue ships to retreat. Their formations collapsed, engines failing, and morale shattered. Earth's fleets had shown the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. The victory was decisive, strategic, and ethical. As the dust settled, Alina stood on the command bridge, looking at the scattered remnants of the enemy fleet. She felt a mix of relief and pride. Humanity had defended itself, not by matching aggression with aggression, but by using intellect, creativity, and unity. News from Earth was overwhelming. People cheered in the streets, celebrating a victory not only of strength, but of cleverness and courage. Civilians, soldiers, and scientists alike felt proud of their role in the defense of their planet. Alina knew this moment would be remembered for generations. In a secure communication to the galaxy, humanity sent a clear message. We will no longer rely on civilized battles to protect ourselves. We are capable, clever, and united. Underestimate humanity at your peril. The message spread quickly. Other civilizations, once indifferent or fearful, now saw humans as a species that could not be ignored. Respect replaced caution, and alliances were reconsidered. Humanity had earned a new place among the stars, not through violence, but through strategic brilliance and moral courage. Captain Alina reflected on the journey from the Mars massacre to this victory. She remembered the shock, the anger, and the despair. She remembered the months of preparation, the training, the innovations, and the countless hours of collaboration. But above all, she remembered the human spirit, the determination to survive, adapt, and rise. In New Berlin, Thomas, now older and more determined, watched reports of the fleet's success. His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "See, Thomas? This is why humans are strong, not just because of ships or weapons, but because we think, we create, and we never give up." Thomas nodded, eyes shining with pride. "I understand now. We are not just survivors. We are protectors, leaders, and thinkers. That is what makes us human." Alina, aboard her ship in orbit, smiled faintly at the reports. Humanity had faced an unimaginable threat, adapted, and emerged victorious. But she knew the galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers. This was only the beginning. Earth had proven its strength, but vigilance would remain crucial. The final act of the rogue alien faction was over, but humanity's journey was far from complete. Alina stood at the observation window, looking at the stars that had once seemed distant and silent. Now, they were a stage for human ingenuity, courage, and morality. Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper, but firm. No more civilized battles. Humanity will defend itself with intelligence, unity, and courage. We will rise, no matter the challenge. Below, Earth shone with life, resilience, and hope. Across the planet, billions understood their role in this new era. Humans were no longer merely participants in the galaxy. They were leaders, innovators, and defenders. Alina turned from the window, preparing reports, plans, and strategies for the future. Humanity had won its first major victory, but the stars held many secrets and challenges. Yet, for the first time, humans approached the future with confidence and pride, knowing that together they could face anything. And in that quiet, determined moment, the galaxy understood something vital. Humanity was clever, fearless, and united. Underestimate them, and the consequences would be severe. Humanity's response to the massacre had changed everything. The era of fragile peace and passive diplomacy was over. A new era had begun, an era defined by strategy, intelligence, courage, and moral strength. Captain Alina Reyes looked out into space, her mind focused on the unknown future. And she knew, without doubt, that whatever came next, humanity would rise, and rise stronger than ever.